New York officials congratulate more than 400 million Chinese on quitting the CCP. 10 lawmakers urge U.S. to end tech pact with Chinese regime. Funeral majors in China are booming as the employment rate reaches 100%. Horror movie. China conjures World War Z scenario to test and evaluate new Navy weapons. China's industrial profits continue to decline, posing economic challenges. Every year in China, July 1st is marked as the founding day for the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. The Global Service Center for Quitting the CCP has designated this date as the day of quitting the CCP. The Global Service Center for Quitting the CCP, known for its campaign of encouraging Chinese citizens to quit the CCP and its affiliated organizations, received letters of congratulations and praise from public opinion delegates and officials in the United States. The center was commended for its successful 18-year initiative, which has led to nearly 415 million Chinese people worldwide quitting the CCP and its affiliated organizations. Jarrett Gandolfo, representing District 7 of the New York State Congress, presented a certificate of merit to the New York-based Global Service Center. He said in the commendation letter, "Over the past 18 years, hundreds of thousands of volunteers have promoted the 9 commentaries, both in China and abroad, aiding Chinese people in quitting the CCP. This movement has helped more than 400 million Chinese people quit this party. It is one of the most critical and peaceful initiatives in human civilization." A Chinese may have joined and pledged allegiance to the Chinese Communist Youth Organization and the Communist Party from childhood through their academic years, and when they take the oath, they vow loyalty not to China but to the CCP. The Global Service Center for Quitting the CCP, established in the United States in 2004, has helped the Chinese people quit the party and its affiliated organizations, and has raised global awareness about the evil nature of communist ideology. Chinese citizens have endured decades of mind control, brainwashing, and persecution by the CCP. In November 2004, the publication of the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party sparked a global movement of withdrawals from the CCP. The 9 commentaries critically analyzed and exposed 9 critical characteristics of the party, including its evil nature, deceit, incitement, struggle, robbers, thugs, conspiracy, eradication, and suppression. The revelations prompted more and more people to recognize the CCP's true colors and opt to sever their ties with the party. As of June 24, 2023, the number of Chinese individuals who have quit the party and its affiliated organizations worldwide has surpassed 415 million. After ending diplomatic relations with Taiwan in 1979, the U.S. signed China's regime's Science and Technology Agreement. The STA has been renewed every 5 years. This tech pact facilitates cooperation activities in scientific research between the U.S. and China, from atmospheric to fundamental research in physics and chemistry. The STA was due for an extension on August 27th, but the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP regime's heavy military investment to fulfill its ambitions to influence and steal the US's commercial and scientific intellectual property, has raised questions about whether to extend this agreement. Taiwan News reported that Representative Mike Gallagher, chairman of the Select Committee on the CCP, and 9 other congressmen, wrote a letter urging Secretary of State Antony Blinken to end the STA with the CCP, or the People's Republic of China, or PRC. In the letter, 10 representatives warned that the STA may have promoted technologies that the CCP could later use against the US. To support their position, the lawmakers cited the example that, in 2018, an atmospheric administration collaborated with China's Meteorological Administration to launch balloons for atmospheric studies. But this year, the CCP used similar balloon technology to surveil US military sites on US territory, a clear violation of our sovereignty. The representative said, "The PRC uses academic technology, industrial espionage, forced transfers, and other tactics to gain an edge in critical technologies, which in turn fuels the People's Liberation Army modernization." They added the US must stop fueling its own destruction, and stopping STA is a good first step. In the wake of China's recently announced 2023 university entrance exam results, the funeral and funeral major has emerged as a highly sought-after field due to its remarkable 100% employment rate and a significant increase in applicants. This surge in interest comes at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact mainland China. The number of candidates applying to the funeral industry has dramatically risen since 2020, despite the misconception that the admission requirements for funeral majors are low, exceeding the university entrance exam score for 3 consecutive years. Funeral work is a specialized profession that demands specific knowledge and skills and a certain level of psychological endurance. Not everyone can do it. On June 25th, a Chongqing Urban Management Vocational College teacher said funeral majors are uncommon, and while the employment rate can reach 100%, the salary does not align with exaggerated rumors, as it only slightly surpasses the average income without significant differences. According to CNN News, only 8 vocational colleges offer management and modern funeral technology majors at intermediate and higher levels. Chongqing City Management Vocational College is the only institution in the Western region to offer such a program. Although the employment rate is virtually 100%, the salaries are not much higher than average, contrary to misconceptions. Some skeptical netizens said, "It's not as good as what's portrayed online. Most frontline workers are exhausted. Many positions are on duty 24 hours a day, let alone contacting others." In December 2022, the mainland experienced an urgent need for staff within the funeral industry. The CCP had concealed the death toll from the COVID-19 epidemic in China for 3 years. It was not until early December last year that the so-called anti-pandemic measures were relaxed, and the truth of the epidemic was revealed. Hospitals nationwide, particularly in Beijing, were overwhelmed with critically ill patients. Morgues reached their maximum capacity, and funeral services near Beijing became inundated, so even placing the deceased in coffins seemed unattainable. Funeral homes in many parts of mainland China urgently recruited personnel last December, which also verified that the epidemic had resulted in significant deaths. At that time, some netizens said, "The funeral profession needs to be popularized." However, Chinese officials announced on February 9th this year that the death toll from COVID-19 after easing restrictions is only 83,150, raising skepticism in the international community regarding the accuracy of the figures. In mid-February, the New York Times cited estimates by 4 academic groups suggesting that the outbreak following the lifting of the lockdown orders in December could have caused between 1 million and 1.5 million deaths. However, even this estimation leaves observers questioning its accuracy, especially considering China's acknowledgement that around 80% of its population has been infected. The Chinese military has recently added a total war test to evaluate the performance of new Navy weapons. Total war occurs when a nation devotes all its resources and energy to winning the war. Similar to what happened in World War I and II, it involves the military, the civilian population, and the economy. In the latest evaluation of warships, Chinese naval specialists designated the doomsday scenario with a Z. South China Morning Post reported that China uses computer-based war games and field tests to evaluate the performance of conventional weapons. The assessment has focused mainly on the weapon's combat capabilities in a regional conflict, such as direct military intervention by 2 or more foreign aircraft carrier groups around Taiwan or the South China Sea. The team, led by researcher Fang Sanqin of Unit 91404 in China's People's Liberation Army, said that in a test there is a clash of strategic willpower. The regional conflict escalates into a total Z war. According to openly available information, Fang's unit tests some of China's newest and most potent naval weapons. In their peer-reviewed paper published in the Chinese Journal of Ship Research this month, the Z war scenario was declassified for the first time. Fang and his colleagues did not name any nation, but the enemy hardware in the paper, such as the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, belongs to the US Navy and its allies. They were tagged the Blue Alliance. In their paper, the Chinese scientists focused on the fate of a ship. The Z-war mode assumed the Chinese military was under an all-out attack by the hypothetical Blue Alliance. For instance, the Chinese Navy currently has nearly 50 destroyers. Each was attacked by more than 11 missiles and more than 3 torpedoes. These weapons came from various directions in multiple delivery ways, making it difficult to defend the ship. According to Fang's team, Chinese naval experts had independently assessed the test evaluation results and believe the figures are realistic. The fate of a warship can be insignificant compared to the overall cost of a total war, which could result in the loss of millions or even billions of lives and extensive damage to infrastructure such as cities, transport systems, communication networks, and industrial facilities. A Beijing-based computer scientist said it is not unusual for military researchers to consider worst-case scenarios and assess how their technology might perform. It can help military forces better understand their strength, weakness, and limitations. Besides, it can showcase their readiness and deter potential adversaries from engaging in conflicts that could lead to such catastrophic outcomes. The scientist said, "It is unlikely that this paper is intended as a horror movie." According to data released by China's National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, China's industrial profits continue to decline, signaling challenges for the post-COVID economic recovery. Bloomberg reported that profits in May dropped by 12.6% compared to the previous year, and profits declined by 18.8% for the January to May period. Although slower than the drop in the first 4 months of the year, this decline reflects softening demand and squeezed margins in the face of a complicated and severe external environment. NBS statistician Sun Xiao emphasized the insufficient domestic demand as a factor hindering a further recovery in industrial profits. He said, "As the external environment becomes increasingly complicated and severe, domestic demand still appears to be insufficient, weighing on further recovery in industrial profits." Foreign firms experienced a 13.6% decrease in profits during the first 5 months, slightly lower than the January to April period. Private firms saw a significant drop of 21.3% in profits, while state-owned enterprises witnessed a decline of 17.7%. The latest data confirms evidence that the second-largest economy was losing momentum on many fronts. May's data showed a decrease in retail sales, exports, and property investment, and the youth unemployment rate reached a record high of 20.8%. These factors contribute to ongoing economic pressures, as exports fell for the first time in 3 months, industrial deflation worsened, and imports continued to decline due to weak domestic demand. Wu Qiaoming, deputy director of the Chasing International Economic Institute, highlighted the persistent difficulties facing business operations, indicated by the slow recovery in industrial profits. The downward profit trend will likely affect business sentiment, further dampening China's overall economic outlook.